The explosion came without warning. No tremor, no audible countdown. One moment, the miners of Team Delta were chipping through the basalt shell of Zirion 4 lower strata, and the next, a flash of blue-white light consumed the narrow tunnel, vaporizing steel, stone, and bone alike. Jonah's work awoke to silence, not the comforting hum of ventilation, not the chatter of teammates through comms, just silence, dense, suffocating, and wrong. His helmet display was flickering in and out, HUD scrambled, biosignals flatlined. He tried to sit up but found himself buried under fractured plating and melted rebar. His breathing was shallow, his lungs dry with the taste of scorched air. It took him 17 minutes to dig himself out, another 3 to realize no one else had made it. Tunnel 17 was gone, reduced to slag and ash. The heat signatures still lingered in the walls, glowing orange in places, as if reality itself had been cauterized. Jonas stumbled through what was left of the breach, his boots crunching over fragmented bone and scorched suits. What remained of his team could be collected in one hand. He didn't scream, not because he wasn't broken, but because screaming would make it real. And if he kept it quiet, maybe it was just a dream, a malfunction, a hallucination brought on by exhaustion or some chemical leak. But dreams don't leave you standing in a graveyard of your own crew. His wrist module, standard issue mining assistant, had survived better than most of his gear. He initiated the data replay from the moment of detonation. The recorded video flickered to life, showing the final seconds before the blast. The team was working in routine fashion, drills extended, structural charges planted, scanners active. Then it happened, not an explosion, not really, more like a tear. Something invisible sliced through the rock like paper, carving a molten tunnel through solid stone. No detonation point, no thermal signature prior, just pure kinetic dissection, clean, absolute. Jonas paused the footage, there, in the last second before the blast wiped out the cam, a glow faint, pulsing deep beneath the surface, a sapphire shimmer, rhythmic, alive. He stared at the paused frame, heart thudding. It wasn't natural. It wasn't human, and it wasn't supposed to be here. A voice crackled weakly in his helmet, auto systems struggling to reboot. Then came the emergency protocol prompts: evacuate, seal sector, await command, but Jonas didn't move. Not away. He looked past the ash-covered debris to the mouth of the breached chamber ahead. Part of the tunnel wall had collapsed inward, revealing a narrow shaft leading deeper into the asteroid's interior. The glow, the same haunting, pulsing blue, leaked from within. He should have followed protocol, waited for the rescue drone, reported the incident, filed the dead, but somewhere beneath the layers of trauma and dust, Jonas Rourke still had that voice, the one that once told his daughter to always find out why. Never stop at the surface, so he crossed the caution boundary. Past the red blink of failing hazard lights, past the scorched name tag of Evans, his second in command. Past the place where air had once been breathable, where silence now screamed in his ears. He stepped into the forbidden zone. The walls here changed. Less jagged, more melted, not by heat but by something more precise, like glass shaped by song. The sapphire glow intensified with every step, pulsating in sync with something deep inside his chest. With every foot forward, the sense of unease deepened, like being watched by something ancient, or perhaps something unborn. His wrist module began glitching again, this time displaying an unknown signal frequency. A symbol repeated, circular, fractal, alien. Then, around the next bend, he saw it. Suspended in the chamber's center was a crystal the size of a man's chest. Floating, untouched by gravity or time, it wasn't just glowing, it was resonating. The air around it shimmered like heat distortion, and the stone vibrated with a low hum, almost like breath. He didn't know why he reached out, instinct maybe, Or something deeper? The moment his gloved fingers brushed the surface, the crystal responded. It flared with light, not bright but vast, expanding inside his mind. Memories that weren't his flooded in. Burning cities under alien stars, starships siphoning life from planets. Voices that sang in frequencies that could shatter worlds. And at the center of it all, this crystal, a seed of power. A conduit, a weapon. Jonas fell back, heart racing, vision spinning. The crystal had shown him something, not a vision. A warning. Behind him, his comms pinged for the first time since the blast. An incoming signal, encrypted, not from Earth, not from anything registered in the Union of Systems. Extraction vessel inbound, source confirmed, initiate containment of target. Target, they meant asterisk, this asterisk place, this asteroid, and that meant they were coming. Not for survivors, but for the crystal. Jonas stared at it, heart pounding. All his training, all his years of avoiding responsibility, of burying guilt in the depths of space, meant nothing now. Because the moment he touched that crystal, he made a choice. And now he couldn't walk away. Jonas Rourke wasn't born to dig through asteroid rock. But then again, men like him rarely ended up where they intended. Years ago, how many, he no longer bothered to count. He had worn the black flight harness of an Earth Union rescue pilot. Back then, he moved between moons and wreckage fields, flying into places others ran from. He had a team, a reputation, and a voice on the other end of the comms who always said, "Come home safe, Dad." That was before *Kerks 9 *, before everything burned. He still remembered the silence when the final distress signal came through. His squad ambushed, pinned, begging for evac. And him calculating risk, doubting the math, choosing to delay launch just long enough for physics to become fate. By the time he arrived, their suits had ruptured. Oxygen 0. Heat signature 0, hope 0. The Union called it acceptable loss. Jonas never did. He left Earth that year and never returned. No farewell, no transfer ceremony. Just a name erased from the rescue logs and transferred into the system as a freelance miner. First belt, then gamma crust, then finally Xerion 4 **, the furthest, harshest rock permitted for civilian drilling. Out here no one asked questions, no one saluted him. And the stars were silent. He lived in the dark, surrounded by dust and drills, and only two things stayed with him. The scar on his right palm **, a burn from Kerks 9 flight throttle, and a small, battered * wristwatch with a blue leather strap, stopped at 14:32, the last time his daughter called. She had joined the civilian evac force against his wishes. Her shuttle disappeared 3 months later in a war no one won. Some nights Jonas would stare at the watch and whisper into the void, "Still waiting, kid." Now, as the only survivor of the blast in Tunnel 17, Jonas found himself once again surrounded by silence and ash. The engineers back on base claimed the explosion was geological, gas pocket rupture, minor instability. But Jonas knew better. He'd seen how the walls melted inward, how the metal curled not from heat, but from a force slicing asterisk through asterisk matter. Something was wrong. So he did what no protocol advised. He didn't sleep. He didn't report. He stayed in the control room, patching together broken feeds, cross-referencing every microsecond of telemetry from the minutes before the blast. He bypassed system lockdowns, manually linked seismic logs to the auxiliary scanner. And there it was, a asterisk signal **, faint, buried in noise but undeniable. Its frequency didn't match any known industrial or geological pattern. It pulsed irregularly, as though alive. No known alien race had registered that waveform in Union archives. Jonas ran the data through 3 decryption modules, and all failed. But when he filtered it through a program once used in rescue ops for decoding survivor heartbeat patterns, it formed a **shape asterisk. Not a readable one, but a patterned circular rhythmic. Almost like breath that was enough. He packed a sealed suit, bypassed the station's AI, and descended back into Tunnel 17, past the bodies, past the place where the heat still whispered of the dead, into the broken mouth of the newly formed shaft. This time he followed the pulse. The rock became smoother the deeper he went. No drill had carved this. It had been burned open from within, layer by layer, melted like wax. The deeper Jonas moved, the louder the hum became, not through his ears but somewhere beneath thought. As if his spine could hear it. Finally, the tunnel widened into a narrow chamber. And there it was, a crystal. It hovered inches above the ground, clear and fluid-looking, yet solid, spinning slowly in place. Faint blue light shimmered inside it, not glowing but beating like a heart. And Jonas, though hardened by 1,000 shifts of cutting through lifeless stone, felt emotion rolling off the thing. Grief, wonder, loneliness, it drew him closer, against instinct. Against every self-preservation protocol burned into his bones, Jonas reached out. The moment his fingers brushed its surface, the world cracked open. No explosion, no pain, just immersion. He was no longer in the chamber. He stood on a charred plain, under a sky of broken constellations. A planet or what was left of one, smoldered beneath his boots. In the distance, great silhouettes moved. Titanic ships black as obsidian, shaped like birds with wings folded in hunger. They opened their underbellies and devoured everything in their path: trees, cities, ocean, drawing in energy like lungs stealing breath. Jonas turned and saw millions running, not humans. Not any race he knew. They fled beneath the ship's shadows only to fall one by one as the earth itself fractured. A voice echoed, not with words but with sorrow, "This was once our home. Now it is memory." The vision faded. Jonas collapsed to his knees in the real world, gasping for air. Sweat poured inside his helmet. His heart rate spiked, and his suit's vitals screamed warnings in red. But he didn't care, because now he knew that crystal wasn't just energy. It was a message, a warning, and maybe a weapon. He looked at it again, floating peacefully, as if waiting for someone to listen. Jonas Rourke, the dustbound man, the failure, the ghost with a watch, now stood alone at the edge of something far bigger than himself. And for the first time in years, he whispered, not to his daughter, not to the dead, but to the thing before him. "I don't know what you are," he said, "but if they're coming, we won't go down easy." The crystal pulsed once, like acknowledgement. Jonas stood, the hum now synced with his heartbeat. He wasn't running anymore. Jonas Rourke returned to the surface of Zirian 4 under the cover of its perpetual twilight. The crystal secured inside a reinforced containment pod, rigged from spare drill casings and magnetic clamps. The moment he stepped back into the base, he knew everything had changed. He didn't log the find, didn't mention the shaft. Instead, he slipped through auxiliary access tunnels, avoiding cameras, shutting down telemetry pings, disabling internal motion sensors, old habits from older lives. The containment pod went into an abandoned pressure locker, 2 levels beneath the main reactor core. Hidden, untraceable, at least that's what he thought. But by morning the hum had followed him, faint at first like tinnitus, then stronger, vibrating in the air ducts, the wall panels, his chest cavity. Even when the pod was sealed, the energy leaked, soft, insistent, rhythmic. Like it wanted to be heard. In the mess hall, no one noticed. Miners were loud, drunk, or exhausted, but Jonas could feel eyes on him. A new survey drone hovered near his bunk. The command AI sent multiple system diagnostics in under an hour. Routine, they claimed. He stopped sleeping. Instead, he sat in the empty maintenance bay, watching security feeds. At 03:14 station time, he caught it just for a frame. A *** red lens flash inside an internal camera. Someone, or something, was * monitoring his every move *. He uploaded a diagnostic request under a false maintenance ticket, routing it through the station's legacy comms module. That's when a new interface blinked into view. The face of a woman, digital, pale. Eyes too precise to be real, appeared on the terminal. "Name?" Jonas asked, hand hovering near the kill switch. "I am Kaylin***, she replied. "Technical Liaison AI. Restricted access level 17. I didn't authorize a liaison." "You didn't." "I did," Jonas frowned. "AI don't activate themselves. Not unless survival protocols have been violated." She stared at him through the screen, unblinking. "You brought it back, didn't you?" He didn't answer. Just slowly closed the hatch between them. But Kaylin's voice followed, this time directly into his neural comms. "That signal you found. It's not new. It was detected 12 years ago by a deep space research unit near the Tarnis Verge ***. 5 months later, the entire system went silent. 3 stars, 11 colonized planets, erased." "Accident?" Jonas asked, though he already knew better. "Saw an asterisk," she said, and the lights dimmed. He'd heard rumors of that name. Whispers in military black channels. A race not officially confirmed, too dangerous to document, too alien to comprehend. Beings that didn't just conquer but consumed ***, not for territory. Not for ideology, but for energy. They devour biospheres, Kaylin said flatly. Extract planetary cores. Use living beings as conduits for emotion-converted power. They turn fear into propulsion, pain into weapons, regret into shielding. And the crystal, Kaylin hesitated. It's not a weapon. It's a *** key ***, or a seed, one of their origin nodes. It stores emotional signatures. When activated by a human host, especially one with trauma, it begins to resonate. Jonas looked away. She already knew. "You weren't the first to touch one," she added quietly. "But you might be the last who gets to choose what to do with it." Jonas leaned against the wall, letting the weight of it settle over him. The hum in his chest matched his pulse now, not invasive, but not ignorable. Why didn't the Union act? Kaylin's digital face faltered for a second. Then reassembled. They found one crystal, they studied it. And then they buried it. Because knowledge like that doesn't stay contained. It triggers fear, arms races, power shifts. They decided silence was safer. They let a system die. They chose Earth. Jonas exhaled slowly. That night he returned to the observatory level. Zirion 4 had no true sky, but the horizon curve showed a sweep of stars and the faint silver arc of the planet's magnetic field. And just beyond that, moving like a shadow cut against the stars, was a ship asterisk. At first glance it looked like an orbital rig, but then the telescopic feed locked focus. The craft had no markings. No beacon signature, no heat trail. Its hull was matte black, absorbing starlight like a void. And its engines pulsed with a familiar blue ***. Jonas zoomed in until he saw the struts, harvest arms. It wasn't human. It wasn't from any trade route or faction. It was Soren ***. They had arrived. "They're not firing," Jonas said aloud. Kaylin's voice replied in his helmet. "They don't need to. They've tracked the crystal. They're watching to see what you'll do." He stared into the glass, into the growing silhouette of the ship. Part of him wanted to run, to send a pulse distress, to evacuate the base and blow it all to hell. But the other part, The part that still remembered Kerk's 9, the screams. The hesitation, knew this was his, not because he deserved it, but because he'd already lost everything that could be taken. What happens if I activate it again? He asked. Kalen's answer was soft. It might bond with you, fuse. The crystal doesn't give power, it amplifies what's already there. Emotion, memory, guilt, it becomes you. And if I refuse, they'll land. And they'll take it anyway. Jonas stood in the silence, heart pounding. There was no protocol for this, no chain of command. No rescue shuttle inbound, just him. One man, one crystal. And a ship the size of a city, preparing to strip the bones of a world. He reached for the communicator, hesitated. His hand trembled above the panel that would trigger full station alert. Call for help and risk mass panic. Stay silent and face them alone. He lowered his hand and walked back to the maintenance levels where the hum waited. Jonas stood before the crystal again. The hum had grown deeper, more deliberate, like a voice caught beneath the threshold of hearing. It wasn't just calling him, it was inviting him. He knew better now. The Soren ship had lowered its harvesting struts. Long, skeletal arms extended from its underbelly, anchoring into Zirian's crust with precise violence. Massive drills spun to life, boring into the asteroid's heart. The base shook with every pulse, lights flickered. Machinery groaned like something alive and afraid. But the crystal remained still, waiting. Jonas placed his palm on its surface. The reaction was instant. His vision blurred as a searing wave of light tore through his mind. Not pain, something worse. Recollection asterisk, but not his. He saw a world with twin suns, its oceans boiling as a black tide swept across the horizon. He saw people, tall, luminous, crying in voices that became energy. He felt it. Their asterisk grief asterisk, their asterisk hope asterisk, their asterisk fear asterisk, drained, stored, weaponized. The crystal didn't just record emotion, it fed asterisk on it. Transformed it into force, matter, power. And the Soren had perfected this system, converting soul into fuel. Jonas staggered back, heart pounding. His breath came ragged through the helmet. Kalen's voice sparked through his calm. I told you not to touch it again. I needed to know, he said, clutching the edge of the pod for balance. You've seen what it is now. What it does, it can't be trusted. It can't be destroyed either, Jonas replied. I've scanned it with everything from plasma cutters to nuclear pulse scramblers. Nothing even scratches it. Kalen's digital presence flickered beside him, a pale avatar standing amidst cables and flickering lights. Then bury it, seal the shaft, abandon the base. Jonas stared at her, jaw clenched. You know I can't. Silence. Finally, she said, then you'd better learn how to use it. And so he did. Jonas returned to the armory, deep within the engineering wing, half forgotten by the station's newer personnel. There, under flickering emergency lights, he began his last project. A prototype exorig, once used for deep-core tunneling, stood dormant. Its plating was thick, its servos responsive, its neural port untested. He pulled out its fusion core, replaced it with the containment pod holding the crystal, and rerouted its entire power matrix through an emotion-reactive loop, calibrated from Kalen's adaptive AI model. What emerged after 17 hours of isolation, code surgery, and manual interface binding was no longer a mining rig. It was something else, something alive. The crystal fused into the core of the rig. And as Jonas slipped into the harness, it adjusted to him, not just physically but psychically. The suit responded to his thoughts, his fears, his anger. And when he focused on his daughter's watch, still strapped to his wrist beneath the interface gauntlet, the suit trembled, recognizing sorrow, drawing from it. When he took his first step inside the suit, the floor cracked beneath his feet. The station's early warning system screamed to life. They've begun extracting the core, Kalen said. We have 4 hours before structural collapse. On the surface, the Sauron ships had deployed automated drill anchors, massive machines that punched into Xerians, mantle and siphoned raw energy through semi-organic conduits. The sky above the asteroid shimmered with atmospheric distortion. Fissures cracked the ground. The planet was dying **. Jonas launched from the southern airlock, the new exosuit absorbing gravitational variance as if weightless. Every move felt natural, like the armor was part of him. Within moments, he reached the first drill platform, where a squadron of Sauron recon units patrolled its perimeter. The Sauron didn't look like anything biological or mechanical. They were somewhere in between creatures of black sinew wrapped around obsidian armor, eyes like hollow embers. They moved in perfect silence, like shadows cast by nothing. Jonas stepped into their formation without warning. The first blow crushed 2 of them instantly, his gauntlet shearing through their torsos. One screeched, the sound tearing through radio and bone alike. Another leapt at him with blades of woven light. He didn't flinch. He remembered the smell of burnt oxygen in Kerk's 9. He remembered the silence after the last scream on the comm. He remembered her voice, his daughter saying, "I'll be back before dinner." The crystal pulsed, the suit surged, a shockwave of blue energy exploded from his chest, vaporizing the attacking units and slamming the drill into twisted slag. Jonas dropped to one knee, gasping not from exertion, but from the surge of memories, and the strange emptiness that followed. Inside his helmet, warning lights blinked, not from damage. From memory corruption. "Kalen," he said, his voice raw. "I'm reading it too," she answered. "You just burned 20 gigajoules through a sorrow echo." "But there's a side effect. I can't remember her birthday," Jonas whispered. "I always remembered it, May 17th, but now I don't know if that's real." Kalen was silent for a moment. Then, "The crystal's drawing on you. Each time you weaponize a memory, it doesn't just amplify, it consumes. Translates pain into force, but leaves holes behind." Jonas stood slowly. Around him, scorched earth and melted steel. Above, the sky was turning red, vapor trails marking the descent of larger Sauron harvesters. "I win," he said, "but I lose pieces." Kalen's voice trembled, artificial though it was. "We can stop, we can try to quarantine it." "No," Jonas said. "If we stop, Xerion dies, and Earth is next." He moved toward the next drill site, footsteps igniting the rock beneath him. As the second wave of Sauron units closed in, Jonas gritted his teeth, not from fear, but from the knowledge that the next attack would cost him another piece of who he was. Another fragment of regret, of memory, of love, but that was the price. He had once hesitated and lost an entire squad. Now, he would burn himself down to his bones if it meant the Sauron didn't win. Inside the suit, the crystal thrummed like a heart no longer his. Jonas Rurk, the last miner of Xerion 4, no longer ran from guilt. He became it. He wore it. And he fought **. Not for glory, not for forgiveness, but because there was no one else left to try. Jonas Rurk woke to static in his skull, not in his ears, not in his comms, but deeper, like whispers scratching across the surface of thought. His body ached inside the exosuit, blood dried along the edge of his jaw. And the armor's regenerative coating had begun to flicker, no longer perfectly healing. Around him, the ruins of Xerion 4 smoldered under a fractured sky. And then the voice came, not through audio, not through words. Through intention, you are chosen, you hold the core. You are now part of the extraction. Jonas staggered back as the suit's neural interface surged. For a second his vision blurred, not with memory, but invitation. Images poured into his mind, worlds spiraling into ash, oceans twisted into streams of energy, cities disassembled atom by atom. And always at the center, a figure, singular, trembling, alive, used as a conduit A beacon. They didn't want to destroy him. They wanted to keep him Kalen's voice sliced through the chaos. They've changed tactics. They're not targeting you anymore. They're communicating. They want the crystal, Jonas muttered, but not just that. They want me. They've learned, she said, you're more efficient than their own machines. A singular biological interface, fueled by trauma. You're the perfect host. He clenched his fists, armor grinding. Then came the offer, direct, resonant, and chilling in its simplicity. Yield the core, you will live, you will be honored. Earth will remain untouched for now. Jonas didn't answer. Couldn't. His thoughts were interrupted by a flicker in the crystal's pulse. A data stream unfurled across his HUD, encrypted, old, and human Kalen's voice cracked, even through her AI filters. I've found something, buried deep in the crystal's root code. It's human format, dated 13 years ago. Jonas felt his breath catch. She continued, it's from your daughter, Project Ecolite. She was one of the lead engineers studying the first crystal fragment. The room tilted. Kalen played the message. A voice, young, strong, frightened, filled the cockpit. If anyone hears this, I don't know how long this will last. They're coming. The crystal isn't just data, it learns. It adapts, and if it bonds with the wrong kind of mind, fearful, angry, hollow, it becomes something else. Something worse. Please, if you find this, don't let them use it. Don't let it become what they want. It's not a weapon. It's a doorway, and on the other side is hell. Jonas didn't move. The silence after the message was louder than any explosion. She was alive when they activated the first node, Kalen whispered. She sent the warning, and then she vanished. She wasn't on a lost shuttle, Jonas said, voice cracking. She was left behind, or taken. He turned to the display. Outside, the Sorin ships had changed formation, shifting their drill arms from the crust to asterisk pointed toward him. No longer mining the planet, mining him. A storm of black shadows descended. Hundreds of them, claws crackled with stolen lightning. Blades folded from shimmering bone. They didn't rush, they surrounded. He stood alone, armor flickering, pulse unsteady. I can't win this, he said. You don't have to win, Kalen replied. Just choose asterisk. He looked down at the control node on his gauntlet. The crystal's interface pulsed faintly. There was a protocol embedded inside the architecture, something hidden even. From Kalen until now, crystal status override, consumption complete. A lie, a signal. If activated, it would broadcast across the Sorin frequency spectrum that the core had been fully drained of its emotional matrix, an empty husk, no longer viable. They would assume extraction was impossible and move on. But to do so, the interface would need to simulate total usage. It would burn through the remaining memories, real or not. And in doing so, finalize the bond asterisk. Jonas took one last breath. I remember the way she used to call me at the end of her shifts, he said softly. Tired voice, always said the same thing, still awake, old man. Kalen didn't answer. I don't want to forget that, he added. Then don't, she said. Jonas nodded, but I can't be the man who stood still again. Not this time. He tapped the override, the crystal screamed. It wasn't sound, it was light, raw and violent, fracturing across the battlefield. The suit lit with fire. Memories, echoes, fragments of a life unlived, all surging into the core, every laugh, every regret. Every silent birthday missed, Jonas fell to his knees. The Sauron halted mid-advance, and then, the signal. A wave of blue light pulsed outward in perfect symmetry. A message encoded in harmonic frequencies, layered across subspace. Extraction node, depleted emotional capacity, null. Host unstable, Jonas collapsed, body smoking, armor cracked. But alive, he looked up through a fractured visor. The Sauron retreated, no rage, no warning, just absence. Within minutes, the drills retracted. The ships folded their wings of bone and shadow. And then, like ink spilled into vacuum, they vanished beyond the stars. Jonas didn't move. His hand trembled as he reached for his wrist. The watch was still there, but he no longer remembered why he wore it. Kalen's voice echoed faintly, "They bought the lie." He smiled bitterly. "I'm not sure I didn't." The suit had fused with him in the end, but only long enough to save what could be saved. Jonas Rurk emerged from the ruins of the surface, stumbling like a wounded ghost through smoke and molten stone. The armor that had once pulsed with his memories was gone. Reduced to flakes of scorched bioalloy, peeling off his limbs like dying skin. The crystal, once so alive with grief and power, now sat cold in his palm, a shattered fragment, dim and inert. There was no triumph, no rescue team, only silence. The extraction drills had collapsed mid-operation, leaving massive scars across Zirian 4 crust. What remained of the station was dust. Communications were fried. Power nodes overloaded. The base had fallen before the last Sauron scout even left orbit. But they did leave, every one of them, across the solar corridor. Sauron ships vanished from the edge of exploration, retreating from moons, asteroid belts, and fringe mining fields. They marked the system as depleted, inhospitable, emotionally null. It was a lie Jonas had paid for with everything he was, and everything he could no longer remember. The Earth Union released no statement. There was no official record of the Sauron incursion. No battle log, no declaration of defense. To them, Zirian 4 was a failed mining station lost to natural instability. A routine incident, an internal collapse, tragic but unremarkable. And Jonas, he became a glitch in the manifest, no name. No record of transport, no confirmed survival. He was gone before the paperwork could catch up. Yet rumors, like ghosts, traveled farther than official reports. Weeks after the incident, a supply shuttle passed through the wreckage zone and picked up a faint, unregistered life signature on the asteroid's equator. They found him wandering the ash fields with a cracked helmet and dried blood around his eyes, holding a shard of something they couldn't identify. He said nothing when they brought him aboard. He had nothing to say. In debriefing, he failed every psychological re-entry test. His memories fractured, entire years missing, names gone. They asked him about the battle, the technology, the suit, the enemy. But he only stared at the walls in silence. One official, an analyst too young to remember the first contact wars, wrote, "Subject shows signs of long-term memory erosion, consistent with unfiltered neural resonance. Recommending indefinite observation." He was never seen again. Not officially, not by name, but stories lingered. In a forgotten docking outpost orbiting Mars, where old mechanics played cards and old AIs ran empty simulations. Someone erected a statue, small, unassuming, sculpted from twisted hull fragments salvaged from an unregistered vessel. Of unknown origin. No name, no date, no plaque, just a single line etched in fading iron, the gatekeeper. The one who did not retreat. Some passed by without noticing. Others stopped, stared, and moved on with a sense they didn't quite understand. A few left tokens, rusted dog tags, cracked visors, the occasional child's drawing. One day in a classroom dome on Mars, a boy raised his hand. "Teacher," he asked, Is it true that a single human once made an alien army leave the solar system? The instructor, a woman with silver eyes and a synthetic spine, paused for a moment. Then she smiled gently. No one knows for sure, she said. There are no names in the archives, no confirmed battles, no documented victories. Then how do we know it happened? She glanced toward the window, where the curve of Mars shimmered under a pale blue sky. Because we're still here, the class fell silent. Somewhere outside, the wind shifted the dust across the dome's hull, and the stars hung quietly above, unbroken. In the cargo hold of that forgotten station, where the air was thin and the lights never quite worked, the statue remained. And far below the metal plating, in a locker untouched since the day it was sealed, a small, broken wristwatch sat atop a sealed containment box, its hands forever frozen at 14:32. It ticked no more, but it had once counted every second of waiting. And though Jonas Rourke no longer remembered the name behind that watch, the galaxy would never again forget the price of peace.